Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and the day has finally come. The OpTic team for 2022 has officially been confirmed, but it wasn't as we all expected. The roster is as we thought it would be. The name of the team though, a big surprise to many people. Very much enjoyed. Take your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button is the best thing you can do. Tell this channel to reach more people. Please consider subscribing as well if you have not already. Firstly, this from the OpTic side. One more day, they say. Yesterday, when some stills that we saw in this phenomenal episode of the process. Roger and all the guys that worked on this did a phenomenal job. It was honestly an absolute masterpiece, and it was over an hour long, and there's more to come next week actually, in terms of I'm pretty sure Hex going through and explaining the reasoning behind the decision that they have made. But of course, well, some big news to discuss today, most certainly, even though, well, outside of the merger itself, the roster of course is going to cause a lot of upsets, we imagine, this season, at least in terms of upsetting that, well, the FaZe and Ultra guys that are currently at the top of the standings, where, well, we're thinking OpTic, at least with this roster, should be a very competitive team. Good morning, OpTic fans, says Gersh over at the flank side, with, just some incredible images from this. The videography was absolutely out of control. Firstly, this from OpTic, the process is processing, says Roger. I got kind of concerned about this, really, because when a video is processing on YouTube, especially one that was over an hour long, well over an hour long, as this process episode was, pretty sure the longest one ever, processing that in HD can take YouTube quite some time. I was like, okay, hopefully it doesn't get delayed too long, but it seems like it was all okay. It went live not too long ago, and yeah, an absolutely phenomenal piece of content, really. 10 minutes, they say, 10 minutes out from the process going live, and yeah, Crossroads number 3. I'm pretty sure people were talking about Crossroads number 2 was the one where kind of Hex announced that OpTic were going to be merging with NRG, becoming Chicago Huntsmen. He puts on the NRG hoodie or whatever it was to kind of announce that merger they had going on there. Crossroads 3, we expected something relatively similar, as indeed, of course, we did get. This firstly, as David points out, there was a load of this going on at the start, because I'm pretty sure, potentially, iLLeY and Shotzzy got told that whatever time the process was going live, they also could kind of do their announcements at a similar time. So iLLeY retweeted this. Of course, I'm kind of indicating maybe something was going on there with iLLeY, with OpTic, of course, in this process episode. And we also got this from the flank as things started to kick off. Dallas OpTic being suspended on Twitter, which kind of interesting, right? This account is suspended. Exactly why that would be the case, who really knows? But of course, the big discussion the last few days we really had, at least a couple of weeks ago, was about this account at OpTic Dallas, and potentially using that one, right? Because we all assumed that if the OpTic team is merging with Envy, and Dallas Empire was Envy, and then of course OpTic was OpTic Chicago, you would think that OpTic Dallas is a very sensible name. Simply switch out OpTic Chicago for OpTic Dallas, and then that's how it's going to work. Dallas Empire disappears, etc., etc. But Mark and OpTic Dallas, still, let me just refresh this to make sure it is the case. They still exist. They're still chilling, but it's actually not OpTic Dallas, which is up for debate right here. So we kind of got led on, I suppose, a bit of a red herring on that front. This then from the flankers that I was talking about with Shotzzy and iLLeY. So Shotzzy changes his name here to OpTic Shotzzy on Twitter. He changes his header as well. He's now changed it back to this. We'll have a look at it in a couple of minutes. But iLLeY does the same thing, right? OpTic iLLeY, they change their names too. And as soon as Gersh tweets this out, they immediately delete it. So this was his header, as you can see right here. So Shotzzy, he got the new OpTic logo up in the top right-hand corner. So everything was kind of getting confirmed. But then it was like, oh wait, actually, it hasn't been announced yet, lads. Let's just take this one down and go again in a couple of minutes' time. So yes, anyway, this is what was happening. It was then taken down. This also was kind of funny. So iLLeY changed things back to a fellow in his header right here. Of course, that substitute player for a time for the Dallas Empire last year. But I thought this was kind of entertaining, really. They kind of jumped the gun a little bit on this issue. But well, then the process actually does kick off. So this was during the process, of course, the phenomenal image. As I say, the videography was out of control. I'll leave it linked down below if you guys would like to check the entire thing out. Most of you guys may have watched along with myself. But yeah, this of course was the team. It was very emotional, right, when the guys, especially Envoy, right, was going through the process of being cut from the roster, and just the difficulties that are involved, and the craziness that really is going to happen next year as a result of it, and just obviously the madness of this merger causing this change to happen. But of course, I'm sure changes were coming regardless. Formal talks about his decision making for retirement and the fact that he wasn't really giving 100% and hasn't necessarily done that since his Infinite Warfare run, where he had the 1.4 KD at the World Championships and won it, which it was very interesting to hear about. But of course, this team, after not making a grand finals the entire season, had to go their separate ways, as indeed they do. Scump and Dash are going to be teaming up with two, well, as yet, at least at this point, unknown players. Of course, we kind of knew who they were going to be. Simp says, watching the process right now, hearing FaZe a lot, are we the final bosses? They certainly seem to be during this tournament, and well, whether that continues next year. OpTic, of course, are going to try and do something about that. Dylan Envoy, as he says, parting ways with these guys, moving on to his direction in Los Angeles Thieves. But of course, well, that left a team still to be announced. This is called Gamepedia, say mv.gg website, now just a login form, announcement very much being imminent. There was also a couple of other things coming out, for example, this from the Mutineers. So Crane seemed to have kind of a hint as to what was going to be happening here, because Mutineers kind of did this fake tweet where that they owned the OpTic Dallas account and they were going to sell it on to OpTic for $1,000 or whatever. But Intel Call of Duty says that that may not be the one they actually want, as of course we found out. This also has the flank say OpTic is out of NRG's bio, so yeah, pretty much everyone was gearing up for this announcement to come through, as of course it does towards the end of the episode. Hex effectively walks into the NVHQ, sees these guys playing. I'm not sure you can quite see iLLeY here, but I mean, yeah, this is basically the setup. We've got Shotzzy, we've got Scump, we've got Dashy, we've got iLLeY, and Scump goes on to confirm exactly what the situation is with the roster, which, well, has now been officially announced what it is going to be for next year. So, of course, it is these 4 guys. This is, well, it kind of comes up on screen right here, because I'm sure there's still some announcements to come and some discussions to be had on why this merger exactly has gone through. But yes, OpTic, this is the new logo if you guys are unfamiliar with it. But, of course, the OpTic what was a bit of a question mark. We thought the OpTic Dallas was going to be the logo. Indeed, that is not the case. They come up with this video to envy. Welcome to a new era. OpTic hashtag green with envy. I kind of like that, to be honest, right? Hashtag green with envy. They've done quite well in terms of this branding. You can see like the merger with the green wall right here. So, you know, for a number of different reasons, this could actually make a lot of sense. But it is really strange from a fan of competitive Call of Duty, the so-called E-Classico, right? This one, Hex walks through, sees the guys in the background. You got the NVHQ lighting up in green, and well, the merger comes to fruition, which is just kind of strange, right? Because these guys have gone back and forth for so many years in Call of Duty, especially other esports as well, with varying degrees of success. Both organizations won a world championship in Call of Duty, one after another in Black Ops 3 with Envy, and then Infinite Warfare with OpTic Gaming. And you know, Envy always talk about that. Well, Hester always talks about the fact that they're the most achieved organization at world championships, made the most grand finals, like have the best record at world championships in terms of average placing, this type of stuff. And then all of a sudden, this great rivalry gets kind of well taken away with the two organizations merging together, which obviously big ramifications for the community. Could be a positive, could be a negative. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of both in here, I'm sure, for some individuals. But well, as Scump goes on to confirm, this is the roster of 4. He basically like to says, okay, finally I can talk about it. This is the team. It's myself, it's Dashy, it's Shotzzy, it's going to be iLLeY, as they have been playing with in these tournaments these last several days. Not a massive surprise, of course, but of course the potential of this roster going forwards is a massive one. This then, let's talk about the name of this team. As Prosper points out, OpTic Texas. Anyone catch this? So in the, I'm guessing like the kind of edit end screen or whatever they call it at the end of the video, it says in the bottom right hand side, more content from OpTic Texas coming soon. Of course, what could this potentially mean? But yes, OpTic Texas is going to be the name of this team. As OpTic Chicago say, bigger than Dallas, welcome to OpTic Texas. These 4 individuals, and as it says, introducing your 2022 OpTic Texas roster. So they've expanded beyond Dallas. It's not just Dallas anymore. They're taken over an entire state. It's not, of course, just OpTic that have done this, because you've got Minnesota, right? That's the city, I guess the capital's Minneapolis or whatever in Minnesota, but Minnesota being the state itself. Florida Mutineers, that's a state. New York, you could argue that's the state rather than a city, even though it could kind of refer to both. There's a few of these examples right in the league, so taking over Texas doesn't make well, it isn't exactly crazy, because I guess, well, I suppose Dallas already kind of owned a bit of that spot. It does mean that it's very unlikely that a team like Complexity could now come in and have the Dallas spot, because people were thinking, okay, maybe you could have 2 Dallas spots, like there's 2 LA spots, and have the Dallas Cowboys ownership that also have some stake in Complexity also come in. This is the beautiful logo, to be honest, when written like this. I'm really impressed by how they've done this branding, to be honest. And yes, OpTic Texas, this new logo, the squad of 4 is what we expected. The branding, though, is certainly a bit out of the blue, I thought. This from Hastro, still Hector's OpTic, he says, I just get to go on the ride with my friend right now. So really cool to see. Obviously, these guys have been OGs for a very long time, rivals for a very long time. Now they're going to be competing alongside each other in the Call of Duty League. Truly remarkable what tends to happen in the Call of Duty League right here. And this, as is confirmed, the 2022 roster for OpTic Texas is going to be Dashy, Shotzzy, Scump, and iLLeY. There's your roster of 4. Of course, we've seen early on in these tournaments, they are clearly a force to be reckoned with. Incredible mix, really, of veteran leadership. We even saw in the OpTic in the process, right, when Scump was talking to the OpTic guys before one of their big matches, saying, look, keep your head in the game, Bruce. Like, even if we lose map 1, it's not over. The fact that Scump brings that to a team now is just fantastic. Added that into the fact that iLLeY has phenomenal communication. Like, if you've been watching these tourneys the last couple of days, you will very well know. Like, iLLeY is all over the map. He's thinking ahead of the game. He's telling his teammates what to do. He's listening very well, which is absolutely critical. Of course, has great chemistry already with Dashy. Has built that same chemistry with Shotzzy over the last couple of years as well. And Scump comes into the mix as kind of the perfect glue to bring this team together in terms of veteran leadership, but also playing incredibly well last season also. This certainly a team to be reckoned with this year. I think they should be right up there competing with FaZe and Ultra and the other rosters that have been formed for the championship. And well, they're going to go under the name of OpTic Texas. What about that? And as Rambo Ray says, here we go. Going to be the coach of this roster, I'm sure. Even while I've been recording, there's some more chaos coming out on the timeline too. It seems Rambo and Standy will both be coaching the OpTic Texas team. As Scump says, I'm sure more to talk about here in the coming days. Also, this that by Adam Fitch just released with regard to this article that just came out from the DeSoto side. The fact that included in this piece is that OpTic and Envy have purchased the 12th CDL spots from NRG, meaning officially NRG is out of the league and are working on selling it themselves. So for some reason, I'm sure we'll dive into this in the coming days, there's a chance the sale of the slot to a new ownership group won't be finalized before the deadline, however. So it seems like OpTic and Envy right now actually own 2 CDL spots. One of them is OpTic Texas. The other one, of course, they can't operate themselves. They're going to have to sell it on elsewhere. But, I mean, this is kind of chaotic. Why exactly do they have to buy it off NRG? I'm not really sure. Maybe we'll find out about that over the coming days. But yes, definitely able to hit the big red button. You guys know how it is, so you don't miss any of this stuff. Notification bell, all of that good stuff. Chaos, honestly. This from Shotzzy, just, I mean, having changed his name and bio now officially to what exactly it's going to be. Call of Duty player for what will, I imagine, change to OpTic Texas over the coming days. And as Hitch says, just to finish off the video, have to come clean. That was Shotzzy in the background of the eavesdrop, not Mario, as we discussed quite a while ago now. But yeah, the biggest surprise really of Rostermania in quite some time is the fact that OpTic Texas is a thing instead of OpTic Dallas. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting that like button tells the YouTube gods this is a good video. Others like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.